Imagine boarding a plane full of excitement for a trip ahead, only to be humiliated and forced off without reason. That's exactly what happened to a young black boy, full of dreams, wide-eyed, and ready for adventure, until a stern-faced flight attendant singled him out. In front of a plane packed with passengers, she demanded he leave, offering no explanation other than a cold, dismissive attitude. The boy's face fell as whispers rippled through the cabin. The other passengers watched in stunned silence. Why him? What did he do? But this story isn't about defeat. It's about resilience, a twist of fate, and how a single moment of injustice set the wheels of destiny into motion. What happened next would change everything. Just 7 minutes later, this boy wasn't a passenger anymore. He became something much greater. Stay with us as we uncover the unbelievable events that led from humiliation to triumph in record time. You'll see how one act of kindness, a powerful connection, and unshakable determination turned this shocking encounter into a story that would shake the entire airline industry. What happened on that plane? And how did he go from being kicked off to owning the skies? Let's find out. As the boy stepped off the plane, tears welled up in his eyes, but he held his head high. He was used to being treated unfairly. Life had taught him that. But this time, it hurt more. He wasn't just leaving behind a seat. He was leaving behind hope for a trip he had been looking forward to for months. The passengers who watched him walk away stayed silent, afraid to speak up. The flight attendant, with a look of satisfaction, turned back to her duties as if nothing had happened. Outside the terminal, the boy sat quietly, clutching his small backpack. His mind raced with questions. Why had he been singled out? What had he done wrong? He glanced around the busy airport, feeling lost and alone. He didn't know that a stranger had been watching everything, the right person at the right time, with the power to change his life. In the world of business and power, certain people understand injustice when they see it. One of those people was on that very flight. What started as a random encounter would soon become a meeting of fate. A chance to rewrite the story not just for one boy, but for an entire system. The airline would soon face the consequences of a small act of cruelty. But how? And what could one boy possibly do that would shake the foundation of a major corporation? The answers lie in what happened next, an unexpected twist no one could have predicted. As the minutes ticked by, the boy sat alone, watching planes take off one after another. His heart sank with each roar of the engines. Across the terminal, a sharply dressed man observed him with a furrowed brow. He had been seated just a few rows away when the incident happened and couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. People talk about fairness, justice, but when it's time to act, most stay silent. This man, however, believed that doing nothing was just as bad as causing harm. He made his way over, crouching to meet the boy's tear-filled gaze. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The boy hesitated, his small hands gripping the straps of his backpack. "Jaden," he whispered. The man nodded, offering a warm smile. "I saw what happened, Jaden. That wasn't right. Let's talk." Jaden's story poured out, his excitement for his first plane ride, his careful following of every rule, and the sudden confusing moment when he was told to leave. The man listened intently, anger simmering beneath his calm demeanor. This wasn't just an isolated case of bad customer service. It was a reflection of something far deeper, a problem that stretched beyond one flight or one airline. Back inside the airline's corporate offices, decisions were driven by numbers, policies, and public image. People like Jaden were often invisible in their world, but not this time. A powerful force was about to shake the status quo, starting with one bold move, and the clock was ticking. The man, whose name was Mr. Daniels, placed a reassuring hand on Jaden's shoulder as an idea began forming in his mind. He wasn't just any passenger. He was a quiet force in the business world, a seasoned entrepreneur known for turning small opportunities into groundbreaking success. But he hadn't made it to where he was by ignoring injustice. His eyes gleamed with determination as he spoke. "Jaden, sometimes bad things happen to good people, But when we stand up for what's right, we can change things, together. Jaden's eyes widened. But what can I do? I'm just a kid. Mr. Daniels smiled. It starts with one step. He pulled out his phone, made a few quick calls, and sent a series of messages that would ripple far beyond the airport walls. Word of the incident began spreading like wildfire, not just through social media, but directly to people who had the power to act. Behind closed doors, executives who prided themselves on polished reputations suddenly found themselves scrambling. Emails flew back and forth, their inboxes filling with questions they couldn't answer. Meanwhile, Jaden's story was picking up momentum. People from different walks of life began sharing their own experiences of mistreatment and bias. Each story added weight to the growing wave of public outrage. A movement was forming, but there was still one final piece to this puzzle, and it was about to fall into place. Time was running out, and the airline had no idea what was coming. Just when it seemed the pressure couldn't get any higher, a stunning twist unfolded. A breaking news alert popped up across major networks. ***, an anonymous whistleblower from within the airline ***, had stepped forward with shocking information. Hidden behind the airline's polished image were ***, long-standing complaints about unfair treatment ***, many involving incidents eerily similar to what happened to Jaden. Stories of passengers removed without explanation, disproportionately affecting families and children of color, were buried under stacks of internal reports. For years, complaints were dismissed as policy enforcement, but now, with public outrage at a boiling point, there was no place left to hide. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Social media exploded as people demanded answers. Protesters gathered at airports, holding signs that read ***, fly fair, or don't fly at L****, and ***, justice for Jaden. Hashtags linked to the growing scandal began trending worldwide, and major stakeholders started pulling their investments, rattling the company's foundation. Meanwhile, Jaden watched the chaos unfold from the safety of Mr. Daniels' office. "Why are so many people helping?" he asked, still overwhelmed by it all. "Because your story is their story," Mr. Daniels explained, "and because change happens when people refuse to stay silent." Just then, his phone buzzed with a new message. He read it, his expression shifting from satisfaction to fierce determination. He looked at Jaden with a spark of excitement. "They think they can control the story, but we're about to rewrite it. Are you ready?" As the storm of public outrage reached its peak, the airline's top executives finally caved under mounting pressure. In a hastily called press conference, they apologized for Jaden's mistreatment, promising sweeping changes to their policies. They vowed to retrain staff, implement stricter accountability measures, and rebuild trust with their customers. Cameras flashed as they read carefully crafted statements, hoping their words would calm the fire. But behind closed doors, a more significant deal was underway. Mr. Daniels, working quietly and strategically, had used the scandal as leverage to negotiate the purchase of a major stake in the airline. His offer wasn't just about money. It came with non-negotiable conditions focused on creating a fair, inclusive, and customer-centered experience. After tense negotiations, the agreement was signed. Overnight, control shifted, and the airline now had a very different future ahead. The next morning, a new headline stunned the world. ***, from passenger to powerhouse. Boy kicked off plane now co-owner of airline. ***. Jaden stood beside Mr. Daniels as reporters fired questions. One journalist asked, "What would you say to the flight attendant who removed you from the plane?" Jaden paused, then smiled. "I'd say thank you. Because of that moment, I learned something important. Sometimes, being pushed down just gives you the chance to stand up taller." The cameras clicked, capturing his proud smile. But as they left the press conference, Mr. Daniels leaned down with a grin. "This is just the beginning. Ready to fly even higher?" Jaden nodded. He was ready for whatever came next. As the weeks went by, the airline underwent a complete transformation. The new leadership team, with Jaden as its youngest honorary member, focused on fairness and accountability. Training programs were revamped to emphasize empathy, diversity, and inclusion. Policies that had once allowed bias to go unchecked were rewritten with input from passengers who had experienced discrimination. For the first time, people felt seen, heard, and valued. Jaden's story became an inspiration around the world. News outlets shared his journey from heartbreak to empowerment, and schools invited him to speak about standing up for what's right. His message was simple but powerful. ***, kindness is strength, and speaking up can change everything. ***, kids who watched his story learned that no matter their age, they had a voice, and that voice could make a difference. Back in his neighborhood, Jaden returned to his usual life. He still rode his bike down the same streets and played with the same friends. But something had changed inside him. He had learned that bravery isn't about being fearless, it's about taking action even when you're scared. One afternoon, he looked up at the sky as a plane soared overhead. His heart raced, but this time it wasn't fear. It was excitement for the future and a belief that no dream was too big. When the airline unveiled its new slogan, "***, we rise together****, Jaden smiled. He knew those words weren't just about flying. They were about people lifting each other up, standing strong, and making the world a better place. And for him, this was only the beginning of many more adventures to come.